You've probably heard that bulking is the key to building serious muscle, but what if you've been doing it wrong? So whether you're struggling building muscle or you're gaining too much fat, this video is going to break down the science behind bulking so you can maximise your muscle growth with minimising your fat gain. If we haven't met before, what's up? I'm Lockie, a final year sport and exercise science student at Oxford Brookes University. With years of resistance training experience, I've helped countless amounts of people build muscle with scientifically backed methods. So I'm going to guide you through how to bulk effectively without the common mistakes that hold so many people back. So in this video, we're going to cover the science of a caloric surplus and muscle growth, how to calculate your calorie needs for bulking, why macronutrient ratios matter and how to set them, the best training strategies to complement your bulk, and the common bulking mistakes and how to avoid them. So the first point is actually knowing the science behind bulking and how it actually works. Because a bulk works by putting you in a caloric surplus, meaning you eat more calories than you burn to aid with muscle growth. And this works because if you're in a caloric surplus, it means you have extra remaining calories during the day which your body can put towards muscle growth. And obviously, assuming you're training hard enough in the session, your post-training, you'll really benefit from them excess calories. So muscle protein synthesis, which is the process behind muscle building, is maximized when paired with proper nutrition and training stimuli, as seen in a study that emphasizes the importance of protein intake in muscle hypertrophy. Alright, so now you actually understand the science behind bulking and why it works, but how do you know how many calories you should be consuming in order to put you in a caloric surplus? So you need to find out your total daily energy expenditure to determine how many calories your body needs to maintain the weight it's at the minute. This will form the basis to working out your caloric surplus. So once you've got your total daily energy expenditure, a controlled surplus of between 200 to 500 calories per day will maximize your muscle growth whilst minimizing fat gain. It's important to note you should not be going over that 200 to 500 calorie surplus, because if your body has too many calories that it doesn't actually use, it will just end up getting stored as fat and other bad things you don't want. But it's also important to revisit your total daily energy expenditure once you've gained some weight, because then your total daily energy expenditure is probably different. So what was a 500 calorie surplus at the start of your bulk is probably now only 100 calories, for example. So it's important to keep up to date with your daily energy expenditure. So now let's speak about macronutrients and why they actually matter, because it's not just calories that help you build muscle, obviously it's protein as well. So as we know, protein is essential for muscle growth and repair, so you should be aiming to have between 1.6 and 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight of protein. So for ease of calculation, if you weigh 100 kilograms, you should be aiming for between 160 to 220 grams of protein per day. So another fairly obvious one is that carbs fuel your workout and aid in recovery. So you want to aim to have between 4 to 7 grams of carbohydrates per day per kilogram of body weight. Again, if you're 100 kilos, you should be having between 400 to 700 grams of carbohydrates per day. This is going to support your intense training sessions in recovery and just having the energy for them as a whole. And although we want to minimize fat, fats are very important for hormone production, particularly testosterone. But again, it should be in moderation, so you want to aim for between 0.7 grams and 1 gram of fat per day per kilogram of body weight. So like I said, if you're 100 kilos, you want to have around 70 to 100 grams of fat per day. Okay, so now we've covered the nutrition and the calories behind bulking. What are some training practices you should really focus on applying? And the number one most important thing is that you should incorporate progressive overload into your training. This is what's going to maximize your muscle growth, because your muscles will be constantly forced to adapt to the load you're using. So if you keep increasing it, your muscles will constantly be getting bigger. So you should consistently and constantly be increasing the weight or reps over time to challenge your muscles. But what about compound movements? Because I personally think you should be incorporating compound movements into your training sessions anyway, but if you don't normally, when you're bulking, it's probably a good time to. And this is because they recruit multiple muscle groups at once, allowing you to lift heavier and promoting muscle growth. Now finally, what's the volume or the frequency that you should be doing during your training? And research by Schoenfeld in 2017 showed that you should be training each muscle at least 2 to 3 times a week and be using higher weekly sets of around 10 to 20 sets per muscle group a week. Using all of these methods within your training will massively help maximize your muscle growth during a bulk. Now I'm going to list the 3 most obvious common mistakes I see happen all the time and how you can avoid them. So the first and very obvious one is eating too much too fast, because if you're gaining more than 0.5 to 1 pound per week, you're likely adding fat too. And like we said, we want to minimize the amount of fat you add. So make sure to stay in that controlled surplus of 200 to 500 calories and constantly revisiting your maintenance calories to keep that up to date. The second one is massively neglecting cardio, because cardio can help with your overall fitness and keep fat gain in check. So you should be doing 2 to 3 moderate cardio sessions per week. And finally, and this is a really important one, is not tracking your progress at all. Whether this is your weekly sets, the weight you're using, or the calories or macronutrients, you're going to be an absolute mess if you don't keep track of what you're doing. Making sure you track all of the things you're doing during your bulk ensures you're consistently progressing and making sure you're actually consistently gaining muscle. And on top of that, keeping track of your weight ensures you're aware of potential fat gain, because the more fat gain you have, the harder your cut will be when it comes to it at the end of the bulk. So to make your cut slightly easier, you need to keep track of your weight and your fat gain. Remember, bulking isn't about eating absolutely everything in sight, although it can be tempting. It's about using controlled, calculated nutrition strategies along with effective training. And obviously the goal is to maximize muscle gain whilst minimizing fat gain. So it's important to stick to the science, stick to the facts, and the results will speak for themselves. So let's quickly recap what we've covered today. You need to calculate your maintenance calories and be in a small caloric surplus. You should prioritize your protein, carbs, and fat to fuel muscle growth. You need to train with intensity and progression whilst implementing compound movements, and avoid common mistakes like overeating and ignoring cardio. Master these principles and your bulking phase will be the most effective it's ever been. Are you bulking right now or planning to start? Let me know in the comments how it's going. And if you like this video, make sure you check out my recent video on how to get naturally aesthetic without steroids. It's a great one. Don't forget to hit the like button if you like this video in particular, and hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications to see more videos like this. Don't forget to come back for more fitness content backed by science. And as always, that's all from me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.